It's your boy Concert Viz 34. Want to make a quick video before my Patriots take the field against Jacksonville. This is going to be the Dave Matthews Band 2018 Summer Tour recap, review, reflection. This is everything that I've thought about for the last week since the Hollywood Bowl show, and I want to give it all out on this video. Before I get started, thank you for many of those who have supported me this year. I have tried to expand my opinions and thoughts on DMB to do it more consistently, and I appreciate a lot of y'all. Mike Keto, who's always supporting from the Dreaming Tree, Typical DMB, at Typical DMB, interviewed me yesterday. We messaged back and forth. I really appreciate the support. I can't say that enough. I'm not here to try to get a bajillion viewers, but I do want to just share my opinion and interact with other fans. So I do, again, thank you guys all for commenting, liking, subscribing to this page. So to get started, we just want to do a quick Hollywood Bowl reflection. And one of the cool things about the Hollywood Bowl is they bring strings on for songs like Here On Out. I thought this was really, really amazing to hear a song like Here On Out and some of the other songs with the string section. That's really the only new thing. The band didn't really go haywire with the crazy encore. They didn't really do anything crazy, so it wasn't worth, really going much over than that. What I want to do is just go over some of the stats here for the tour, then I'll get into a little bit of a opinionated reflection, or kind of an essay-like reflection of this year. So this year for the summer 2018 tour, we have 47 shows, 940 song performances, an average of 20 songs per show, 97 different songs played. Some of the most played songs, obviously Samurai Cop is #1 at 39, Bayou is 30, Ants Marching is 28, She was 27, which I thought was way too much for that song. Can't Stop 27, Warehouse 26, Satellite 26, Don't Drink the Water 25, Again and Again 25, That Girl Is You 24. I would say with the most played songs, That Girl Is You was overplayed. I did like the jazz band performance at the Gorge when it was repeated for that after it was played the night before. But She and That Girl Is You were overplayed for the new songs. They could have reduced those just a little bit. I'm not as big of a fan as Don't Drink the Water. I wouldn't mind if that went down to 15 plays, take 10 of those away, bring some older stuff back, or have another song get a higher presence. The least played songs, So Damn Lucky, Black and Bluebird, Kill the Preacher, Write a Song, The Last Stop, Butterfly, 34, When I'm Weary. Those were all the one spots played. And then let's look as far as for What You Are and Rooftop kind of top off the two songs played twice. There's a couple more, I believe, but I'm looking at the DMB Almanac and I don't want to go further into that. But So Damn Lucky and Black and Bluebird, those were played the weekend I went. Mansfield, So Damn Lucky, with a nice outro that was unique, and then they just kept it there. Hey, that's fine. And then Black and Bluebird only played once in Hartford. I can say going there, it sounded a little bit rough. Again, other people have different opinions that I've seen in the from observations on other forums, but it sounded a little rough. It was hard to hear Dave's guitar, and even him, to me, it just sounded a little tough. So I thought I was going to get more Black and Bluebird. I would have loved to have She go down and have more Black and Bluebird, but it is what it is. And then we get to Write a Song. I believe that was Colorado. The only time it's played. Kill the Preacher, I can't remember where that was played. Last Stop, obviously the Gorge. Butterfly, obviously the Gorge. 34 played on Leroy's, the 10 year, not, it's been 10 years since he passed, but on his birthday, and it hadn't been played since, I believe, was it 2013 or 2008? I can't remember when, but it was not played that much. And then also, just to go into Rooftop, Rooftop was only played twice for this tour, and really the only Away from the War joint. We won't go into openers and closers as much because a lot of these were repetitive. The other thing I want to go over with the stats, as far as different songs played per tour, this tour ranked fifth as far as major tours, fall, winter, spring, summer. In major tours, this was number five. As far as percentage of catalog played, that's the percentage of the total catalog at the time of that tour or the time of the season, if you want to be cheesy. But it was 29th. So the percentage of songs played was lower in the ranks. But really, what that says is that when it's in fifth and different songs played, the band just doesn't expand their catalog that much. And actually, when we talk about average rarity of songs played, this tour was sixth in average rarity. What that means is that if a song's played in a show, when was the last time it was played in that show? So if you average out all the songs for this, specific shows for these tours, and you say, when was the last time it was played? The average of this whole tour is about 2.7 shows previously. If, on average, a song was played last when it is played again in that tour. So that's higher than the 90s. All the 90s, there's no shows in the top 10 of that average song rarity that are in the 90s. Meaning, again, the band sticks to a formula. They're only going to play so many songs. They don't do the the Grateful Dead thing where they play out everything they have, even 10 years into the career. No, they have a certain amount of songs they play. And matter of fact, they play more songs now on tour than they did back in 98, 99, 2000. Now, here is what that tells me. That tells me that what people are upset about is not that there's so many repeats, because the band's not going to change. They've never been that way. They even in 04, 05, they weren't playing out the song. But what that says is that the fans just don't like that the newer material is taking away from older material being played more consistently. Because again, the band at this point is Freebird. Lord knows they won't change. They're not going to play a higher percentage of the catalog when there's more songs. It's just that you're seeing less and less older classics be played because they have to make way for new stuff. This went on with Away from the World. It went on with Big Whiskey, but when we get to, that's really the cutoff line. When Stand Up was around, you still got a lot of great stuff, even though people didn't like Stand Up. But once you got to Big Whiskey, Away from the World, and Now Come Tomorrow, these new albums took away from the classics of the first three albums. Now, I want to give a little bit of a summary of this year. This year, summer 2018, DMB finally comes back for this first full band summer tour since 2016. This tour was not for fans that are a creature of habit or that are stuck with the violin sound. Me personally, I don't like the violin that much, just gonna be honest. Even when I was in fourth grade and had to pick an instrument, I picked clarinet, which is an annoying instrument as well, but I just thought the violin can be annoying at times. I do not miss some of the Pig playing, the opening of Pig when you hear Boyd screeching a little, and other songs too. But if you liked the violin with this band, even if you like other bands without violin, you were going to be disappointed for the most part in some way. A 30-second part of the show, a 2-minute part of where they usually have a solo for Boyd, you were going to do that. But for me, I don't care. I loved this year. Sure, it would have been nice to have a violin player, but at the same time, I did not miss Boyd or any violin playing at all. Now, if they want to add one in the future, I hope that they do make sure they still play a variety of songs and it's not going to be a bunch of repeats where there's less variety than this tour. I thought this year, Come Tomorrow made its mark, and I loved how there was out with the recently new, which is Away from the World. Get that all the way out of here, and you only have 2 rooftop plays, and you're bringing this new product and project called Come Tomorrow. Yes, some of the songs are starting to already lose its luster. The title track, Come Tomorrow, I could skip it. I can go to the bathroom during that. A song that I love grunge. I love R.I.P. Chris Cornell. I love Alice in Chains. I love Soundgarden. I love a little bit of Nirvana, although I think, I'm not as big as everyone else is with them. And a couple other bands too, but she is, it doesn't do it for me live. It's skippable. But they did have a lot of great stuff come back. I love Again and Again. I love Can't Stop, Come On, and Here On Out. Those songs can stay. But I did like how, at least, yes, we still had a lot of newer material, but it was actually newer. Now, the other thing that I want to highlight about this year is there were awesome intros and outros that actually made the song sound new. It made you feel like you were experiencing a special moment when you heard a Raven intro, a When the World Ends intro. When you heard, even though I was one of the few people to witness the So Damn Lucky outro, it was different. And I love that about this year. And this is really tying to my next point, which is Buddy Strong, who's the MVP. Buddy Strong was the MVP of this year. Now, you can debate, and you can definitely say that, yes, there's not a show that you can add for a live track. That's the reality of this year. We'll get to that in a moment. But Buddy added energy to this band. This band was happier than they ever had been on stage in the last decade since the passing of Roy. Now, you can argue that they're past their prime. It's not the best sound ever. Some fans are saying that that's not true. But Buddy added new sounds. He had everything from the modulation on Funny the Way It Is to the keys on stuff like Two Step that was better than Butch. I don't care what anyone says. Some of the Butch solos were good, some of them were bad, most of them were skippable to me. Buddy comes with the energy and with those solos, and you didn't put you to sleep like Butch tended to do when he had the spotlight. In the fills, you could argue Butch, maybe he's a little better at the fills for stuff like Seek Up, but at the same time, Buddy was right there with them, just a step below or at the same level. So Buddy was the MVP of this year, and also this is just all his keys playing. Now, what I also like about him is we don't need the lovely ladies to come back. Y'all can do y'all thing. Y'all amazing singers. Not take anything away from you, but when you sing, we know it's predictable at the end of the set list. Buddy can have the lovely lady's soul all wrapped into one dude, and we don't need the lovely ladies to come. So that's what was awesome. And then he also, again, on stuff like Time of the Season, just added some nice elements vocally, and really making it different. The stand-up songs that were played with Buddy having his interpolations and other stuff was also awesome. And then when you look at some of his moments where they let Buddy shine, like the bartender where he has a Chariots of Fire interpolation at the end of the bartender for, I believe that was West Palm Beach. That was an amazing moment to have Buddy there, and again, giving him the keys to make the Raven intro totally different. Now, I'm a fan of jazz. I'm a fan of blues. I go to church, a Baptist church here in Connecticut, so I love gospel music as well. I play gospel music at my church, so I love the Buddy's soul. If you don't like the organ, you may have not liked his organ on Gray Street and other songs, and that's fine. That is your personal opinion. Now, let's talk about what was lacking about this year. One thing that was lacking about this year is the second half of sets. The second half of the sets, because they were playing Gray Street mad early, because they had JTR and Spec like I did early on in the show, Lover Lay Down, Sledgehammer was a little after that. The end of the sets did, to me, lack a little bit of energy. I'm not a You and Me fan now. I will say when I heard it in Mansfield, I believe it was, I actually enjoyed the energy better than previous years, but I'm not a You and Me fan. I'm not a Crash Into Me. You know, it's cool and it's beautiful. It's a beautiful song, but there was certain songs at the end of the sets that were skippable to me until you got into that last song, and that was something that lacked. And then the number one thing that lacked this year were the encores, even for Spec. Not Spec. Well, yeah, for Spec too. Spec did not have a double encore, but it still was great. Two Step was amazing, but I wanted that double encore, triple encore. The other thing is, even at the Gorge, some of these encores were not that top notch. The Gorge encores were not there. There wasn't really like, wow, this is an amazing encore, except the Spec Two Step. And there was maybe one or two other shows. Oh, you know what it was? It was the first night of Spec as well. You had Some Devil Pig and Don't Drink the Water. That was a dope little closer there to have Don't Drink the Water with that energy. Even though I'm not a fan of that song being played as much as it is on tour, that was dope. And then, as far as the other concern about this year, the 3 show weekends. One of these was unplanned. This was in the southern part of the tour at the end leg 1, where they had to reschedule Orange Beach. But there were other planned 3-night weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday shows, where you definitely saw that that was not a good thing for this band. The reason I say that is because the Dave and his voice, and it did suffer after that third night. In the third night, you got a cliche set or a cookie cutter set. Even though the band doesn't play the songbook out, you didn't get as much as the previous 2 nights. Also, the Saturday night show suffered because the band knew they had to play somewhere else. You look at Chicago, you got to go to Milwaukee the next day. To me, again, SPAC night 2, I think you have a double encore, you have a Halloween, you have a What You Are somewhere in the end of the set or the end of the encore, because they don't have to go anywhere until a couple days later, the middle of next week. So I really think that they need to cut these 3-show weekends out for next year if they do end up doing a summer tour. I'm assuming they are, but I think they really should do that. Now, I think that when you debate the best 2-night stands, people will say Deer Creek over SPAC. Some people will say SPAC. To me, I really think, and this is my opinion, I think SPAC was the best weekend for a 2-night stand. This is why. Because while Deer Creek did have a 2-step, where was the 2-step at the end of the first set? It didn't close out the show. You still had Ants and Come On, and Ants. Which again, still a nice way to end a show. But 2-step was the highlight. So the best part of the show for that Deer Creek night 2 was at the end of the set. You could have really went home. I mean, yeah, Ants was solid this year. Come On is a really good song. To me, live, I don't know how long it stays like that, but I like it this year. And I think strings would definitely help that if they do bring a violin player back. But again, the ending of that show wasn't as top-notch because the best part was at the end of the regular set. To me, outside of the Stone, SPAC had everything that Deer Creek had. You had the closer was better. I mean, night 1, SPAC had a better ending for the encore than you had for when you look at Deer Creek night 2. You had again, you have Some Devil, which is amazing in that E1 spot, Pig, and then a Don't Drink the Water. That's better than Ants and Come On and Ants. Straight up. And then this is what SPAC had that Deer Creek didn't. You got the Lily White special, fam. You got Raven for night 1. You got Time Bomb. Now that's what but it was nice to get that back for for that show, and it was back a couple of times. But then you have, outside of Raven, if you went to both nights of SPAC, you got Raven, you got Bartender, you got JTR, you got Captain, you got all those songs if you went to both nights. So to me, that was better because you got the Lily White special, and then you got pretty much everything except the Stone, which I thought was going to be played at SPAC. To me, SPAC was the better weekend. Also, again, SPAC to me, I don't have to go to Deer Creek to know this. SPAC is the Fenway Park of the tour. Why? Because the fan base is passionate. It sells out quick. For the most part, it's hard to get a ticket there. It's intimate. I was on the balcony. The balcony is amazing. The lower level is amazing. Only thing that sucks is the lawn. But if you get a physical seat in SPAC, you will have an intimate relationship outside of the shows in Guilford, New Hampshire, that is unlike anything. I don't have to go to Deer Creek to know that. Now, Deer Creek has its own vibe. One day I hope to get out there. But it is the standard amphitheater. It has the lawn that's a standard lawn. So you are not as intimate as SPAC double stacking that joint, where you really are. It really is a minor league amphitheater that has major league shows. Same thing with Guilford, which again, I highly suggest people go out there. I'm going to try to make it out there one of these years as well. So again, I give the edge to SPAC as far as the best 2-night weekend. And then when we talk about the Gorge, I thought, they had Butterfly. You had a Last Stop. You had some other stuff, but to me, I thought the Gorge could have been a little better. Again, I'm not there. I can't say. I mean, the experience of being there to me, I think, is something I plan to do next year, hopefully. So I can't talk about experience, but just looking at the sets, they did their thing, but I mean, shoot, there's no JTR. There's no JTR, no bartender, there's no number 40 T's. So I think that, and you'll have years where Spec just has, if you ahead the best show of the year is at Spec, even though the Gorge has 3 amazing nights. But I thought just a little more busting out of the cobwebs of older stuff could have been done for the Gorge. But overall, I think that this tour as well, when we look at a live track, the other thing that you can say is there wasn't really a live tracks worthy show. Now, yes, they can pick a show. You can pick a Deer Creek night 2, a SPAC night 2, or one of the what was that? That was night 2 of the Gorge as well. I think that's when they played Last Stop. You can pick that, sure. You can pick that for whatever. They can do whatever they want. But to me, every show, even there wasn't like a flawless show, because SPAC had its issues at the end of night 2 where it kind of lulled off. Yeah, Deer Creek again, night 2, you have a Shake Me Like a Monkey. I know, yeah, people like it, but you got to Shake Me. And again, two-step is better at the end of the set than the encore. And you don't really have a bawling encore. You really don't have like a wow, that's a ants faking the Halloween, or What You Are, or something crazy. And then the last thing I'll say about this tour is two-step. I think that people overvalue the fact that two-step was played. Now, it's an amazing experience live. But at the same time, not that we should get a bajillion two-steps, but that should be something that's more given for the band. Now, they can do whatever they want. It does make you appreciate two-step. I tell you, taking it away makes you appreciate two-step. But to me, I mean, everyone's like, oh, two-step. Y'all should have been chanting Halloween. Y'all should have been chanting What You Are. Those, to me, are better closers as far as energy. I remember this shirt I got from Hartford 2014. That was my first time and only time hearing Halloween. It closed the set, and boy, they killed it. And by the way, before this, 2014, I got two-step in 2014 to end a show. I had 2 different two-steps in shows in 2013. Now, those are amazing shows in 2013, but to me, there's nothing like Halloween ending a show. There's nothing like a fake into Halloween or a fake into anything compared to two-step. So I think that the fan base overvalues two-step. It's an amazing song, don't get me wrong, but it's like, oh my gosh, we got two, like, oh yeah, it's a good song, but there's better stuff that will shock and awe you and leave you walking away from a show that's like, yo, this show was dope. The ending of this show was dope. So hopefully next year we get some better encores. But that's all I got for today. Maybe I'll make a video about what I want, maybe towards this like end of the year, maybe in this next month in October. I'll make what I kind of want for the band moving forward, but I'm already at 23 minutes. I talk way too much. I am a third generation preacher, even though I don't preach or my last 2 generations, they are reverends and ministers and pastors. So this is why I ramble on. I'm sorry. Thank you guys for sticking by. But that's all I got for today. What do you guys think? Let me know. You agree, you disagree? Again, I apologize if I'm discounting the Gorge, if I'm discounting Deer Creek. I hope to go there, and I'm sure once I go to the Gorge, I will see the light, the true Messiah venue of this country outside of Red Rocks. But again, I just think that if you look at the sets this year, I was looking for some better encores, looking for just a little more from the Gorge for surprises. But they had Butterfly, they had Last Stop, and some other great moments, Preservation Jazz Band, or I think I'm messing it up, but they had That Girl Is You, which was dope. That's it. It's your boy Conservative 34. I'm out.